Hi, I'm Carol Owens, and this is Stockbridge Updates. You know, the issue this week has a very interesting subject, and I would never have guessed that it would be a subject, but here we are. And that subject is employment in Stockbridge. We have so many wonderful people that work for us as hired employees or as volunteers on committees and commissions and boards. And we've never just concentrated on that. So anyway, this week we have an article about that. And one of the things that it started me thinking about was how many people really are involved in running Stockbridge. Did you know there are 100 volunteers on the different boards and committees? And we have a full house in town offices. We're kind of a growing concern. And it got me wondering, do we have like an HR, a human resources place or person? Do we have a personnel code? Do we have printed processes somewhere by how someone is hired or how a volunteer is selected? How, oh my goodness, less fun, how someone is fired or how someone is put on administrative leave. Or so we may be big enough now and sophisticated now, the little village of Stockbridge, so that we need all those things. Just an idea. Now, someone else who's in charge of a lot of people, and as it turns out this year, a lot of construction, is the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Berkshire Waldorf High School. And I'm so thrilled, I am so thrilled to announce that it's now open for business. Our old town hall is now a high school, and we've got kids in town. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Theresa O'Brien, the chair of the Board of Trustees of Berkshire Waldorf. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a busy time for you.
Absolutely.
How many square feet is Old Town Hall?
About 8,000, I believe.
And you touched every square foot.
Yes. Well, it hadn't been touched in a long time, as you know. So, yes, there was a lot of remediation to do in the beginning. And after that, we just turned what had been the town hall into beautiful classroom spaces and school and a big meeting room upstairs with a commercial kitchen.
You know, I have to say, let's start upstairs first. Okay. Because the ceiling in that space, which is original, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Is so beautiful.
Yes, and it's just as it was. It was, that part of the building was the only place that had not been, where the history had not been renovated out of it already.
Yeah.
So we were really grateful that the building gave us that, because all we had to do was clean it up and change the light fixtures. We didn't really have to design anything or change anything. Everything flowed from that, how that ceiling looked. It looks like a big ballroom, don't you think?
Yes, it's just marvelous. Right. And you know, I'm a great proponent of preservation, and I think it brings a kind of magic or character into a space.
Yes. I agree. I love history, like you. I'm a history buff, and we were hoping, actually, with the renovation, that we would uncover other things in the building, but that was not to be. Most of it was already gone, but we're hoping to at least honor the building and all that it's been by having a little museum-ish type display. Probably upstairs near the community room, the meeting room, so that if you're up there for an event, you'll be able to sort of recap the history and see some artifacts, and maybe have it behind glass up there, sort of museum fashion. We've already collected a few artifacts, so.
And, that's so exciting, and one of the ways to think about this space is that was where the town meeting was, the space that we're talking about on the second floor. A lot of memories in that.
Right, and we've had people come in there and remember going to meetings there, and even, I think, dances and other things. It was before my time, but there's people around that still remember using the room that way. So it's all still there, and it looks beautiful, and now that it's updated, and the kitchen has been made fully functional again. And
it's a commercial kitchen.
Yeah. So, a caterer could come in there and use it, and, that would all be above board. And we're hoping that the school will bring back our elective that we used to have before the pandemic hit. We had an elective for cooking.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, that the students really liked. And we were using at the time the kitchen at the Congregational Church right across the parking lot. But now we'll have our own kitchen, we'll be able to use that. So we're kind of excited about that. The building gives us a lot of options for the education. So
a lot of fun. You can produce a new Julia Child.
Yeah, you never know, right?
You never know. Now, there's also something so much fun, and that is there's like a Juliet balcony or something and a skylight. What's the story with how that is in place?
Well, the architects, we had Pam Sandler from Stockbridge Architect as our main designer, and to bring light in to the lobby downstairs, they made that big atrium. They cut the hole in there to bring the light down and up, and anyway, so the light flows better. So it just looks kind of cool and beautiful, and it's got a big light fixture above it. So it's a statement piece there.
Very definitely.
Yeah.
Now, moving downstairs, you have another statement piece, and that's the jail.
Yes. We were able to keep the door that was in the old police station. It's like got the bars on it, and now it's kind of just going to be a closet. But we wanted to just remember that and honor that, and we thought it would be a lot of fun. And we thought the kids could have a lot of fun with that. And just to, everybody will remember, obviously the kids in there, they won't remember it was a police station, but they'll be informed that it was once a police station, and the history of the building will live on that way. So it was important to us to do that.
They took the original town hall building, and in typical New England fashion, waste not, want not, they took that and they moved it to the back of the lot and turned it on its side. And that door became the police department door. And then in front of that, toward Main Street, they put on the new addition. And what year was that?
Was it 1905, I think? Something
I think so.
Like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just after the turn of the century. And the building that they saved and turned on its side that's behind, that was
1839, maybe?
Yeah.
Right around there.
Yes, definitely. So you have two of the pieces of the history of Town Hall.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you were talking before about preserving spaces. Weren't the windows or the doors, wasn't that a point of preservation?
Yes, they're all the original windows, and so the building is so cool. And one of the wonderful things about it is with those big, giant, enormous windows, there's light in every room. So all the classrooms have wonderful lighting in all the different seasons. There's one little room upstairs behind the big meeting room that is the only room in the whole building that does not have any windows in it. And we're going to use that for the kids with the musical instruments and a music room so that we can soundproof it. And you won't hear the drumming so loudly downstairs or anything. But anyway, every other room has those beautifully restored, beautiful big windows, and that's why the building from the outside looks the same. It just looks like it's got a fresh coat of paint, but it was already a really beautiful building. At least I always thought so.
Oh, I always thought so too.
Yeah. And it just like it fits in so nicely with the neighborhood, the church, with the building next to it, and it just is a really attractive part of town, I think.
Well, that was the original town square. That was the original center of Stockbridge. I mean, I'm going back to the 1700s. So the green space between the church and now the high school, where the Children's Chime Tower is, that was town square. And that they built first in that location, and they built out from there. And then for us, in our lifetimes, we think of down, Elm Street and Main Street, maybe that end. Maybe we think of the Red Lion as the center of town.
Right, the intersection there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We think of that as the center of town. But it wasn't as it was originally built. You are in the heart and the center. And while we're talking about the exterior, boy, does that look beautiful. All buffed up and repainted.
Yeah, it just it made such a difference just painting it. Right away, you could see how the building was coming back, and I think when people finally get inside again, that you just get that feeling like, wow, this is a gorgeous building. Now that it doesn't look like it's fallen apart, or how we got used to seeing it like that because it sat empty for so long.
It did, and during that time, a lot of people had ideas. And everyone would say, oh, it can't be done. No, it's too expensive. No. It's just, the building is past its prime. I just love that you and your board of trustees said, yes, we can.
Yeah. We knew it was a good fit because we knew, I was on the last committee that studied building use. And the parking situation there, where most of the church owns most of the parking, and then they have a lease with the golf club every summer to use all that parking, and the church needs it on Sunday. So they had a really good thing going there, and that worked for them with parking, and bringing anybody else into that neighborhood had to fit into that. So the use of the building and the parking, it had to fit together, and a school was a perfect fit.
It is, because you're not there in the summer.
Right. Not there in the summer, not there on the weekends when it's liable to, they might have church functions, or the golf club increases their, functions on the weekends. So the school doesn't need it then. And, when there's plenty of parking in the middle of winter, that's when school's in session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a school was a good fit there, a private school. We were fortunate in that we had a good fundraising team, and we were able to raise the mostly all private money that's been used for the renovation, which, as we said before, was really extensive. Every piece of the building had to be touched.
Well, not to be crass, but it was millions.
Yes.
And that was one of the things earlier in all those years that the building was mothballed. People would always go back to that point. Oh my goodness, but it'll be millions. There's asbestos and it needs a new roof, and it's when a building sits empty and unused, it deteriorates more quickly. And
the longer you wait, the price just keeps going up to do all those renovations.
On everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So we ran into that, but this was the right time. Everything kind of started to come together at the right time. Just remember, the Rockwell Museum was going to go in there. Then
they studied it.
Yeah. And I don't know if the pandemic changed a lot of things for different organizations. It gave our small high school time to start raising money because we weren't, when I was on the committee, which I think was maybe 2016 or 17, looking at it, we had not done very much fundraising, so we really were not in a position to go in there and think we could renovate a building like that. But time passed, Rockwell was looking at it seriously, and we thought, well, at least the building will be saved. Rockwell will go in there and take care of that. But then when things changed for them and they pulled out, by that time we had some money coming in, and we said, yeah, well, now it's the right time. We can actually get a seat at the table and talk about it. And the church folks were great to work with because they saw the sense of it, having a school there. And in the meantime, also, our relationship had deepened with the church because during the pandemic, the school having to, we didn't go online like a lot of schools had to during the pandemic. We tried to keep the kids coming in, but we separated the 4 grades, 9 through 12, so that the students were only exposed to they were in pods, basically, their 9th grade pod and the 10th grade pod. And we had, in the building we are renting now at 14 Pine Street, we were able to split up 2 classes there, and then we used at the Congregational Church the sanctuary and the Jonathan Edwards room for 2 more grades, and that's how we kept school in session. And that deepened the relationship between the school and the Congregational Church during that time. And I think that the folks at the church kind of liked having the kids around, and they saw how it'd be great to have a high school in the neighborhood and keep the kids, down there. So all of that, as we were coming out of the pandemic a little bit, it started to see like, gee, this really makes sense. Why don't we make it happen?
And I think you were one of the people that kept saying, I want to be in the village, I want to be in the village. And I remember so many years, I don't remember, but I have read that many, many years before you, Austin Riggs said the same thing when he moved his facility onto Main Street. And he said that the village would become like the campus of the community he was trying to build, and that it would extend his residents' experience. And so forth. And I think it's worked quite well, or at any rate it did for many years. And I think just being around the village, I see the kids from the high school, they go into Elm Street for a sandwich or whatever. It's wonderful.
It builds community, right?
It does, yes.
And it was important to us as a school. I mean, one of the things that makes us remarkable and perhaps different than campus high schools where, now everything's regionalized, or you go to a campus and everything is contained on that campus. Well, using the village and the wider community as a campus really works for the students. They have a sense of independence.
Yeah.
They have a sense of we're going to be on a real stage for the play, like the Unicorn Theater, for our play, instead of a high school auditorium theater, which is fine and does work, but it's just a different model. And using a theater like the Unicorn Theater when it's otherwise dark in maybe March or April for a school play, it works for Berkshire Theater. And the kids really like it. It's just a great thing. And then so we do that with theater. We do that with using the gym at the town hall or Berkshire South. We don't have to have a gym. As you mentioned, the kids go into town for lunch. We don't have to have a cafeteria, which is great. The kids just get off campus a little bit and walk around. And Stockbridge is small enough where their presence is felt.
Yeah.
And I think
they interact.
They interact, exactly. Yeah. And it's a regular thing. People know each other's names, Noah at the coffee shop, and, that type of thing. Everybody learns everybody's name. You feel a sense of community. And then these kids are growing up, and they're going to go to, a lot of them to college or move away, move different places, go out in the world. And they bring that sense of community that they started to feel in high school with them. That's what I hope for them anyway, because I know it's important to me. So I know how important it can be in life. So
absolutely. I think that the curriculum of the Waldorf school is exceptional, and maybe we should talk about that a couple of minutes. And then you were kind enough to bring in some video so we can virtually tour. And if we just take a minute or two now to talk about the very special curriculum, and then at the end we'll have 5 minutes of video for your touring enjoyment. So, Theresa, tell us.
Well, the difference with, I would say that at the Waldorf High School, we teach things block style, meaning that every day starts with a longer class of various subjects that last for about 3 or 4 weeks. So the first month of school, the seniors will have zoology for their seminar. And then the next month, that might change to, it could be anything from transcendentalists or something like that. So each grade, so while the seniors are having zoology, the 11th graders might have a chemistry class, and the 10th graders might have history of art or in various things. So that block style means that the first subject of the day, first class of the day, will change every month, but it will be taught as an intensive.
Yeah, could I think of it as an immersion into a subject?
Absolutely.
Is that kind of what block means?
Right, and by the time you graduate from high school, you start in 9th grade that way, you accumulated enough credits, say, in biology, because you'll have different types of biology taught in this block style throughout the course of your time there in the 4 years, and it all kind of adds up to plenty of credits. And the other great thing is that I think my kids really like this. In high school, you're really ready for discussion.
Yeah.
And everything is taught seminar style, so it's around tables as opposed to rows of desks, and that kind of discussion and sort of collaborating with your classmates.
And there's something about that is. There's an element to the Berkshire Waldorf High School that is really preparing people for adult life. I remember once being in your circle when the day is done and people share a thought or share a handshake or a simple thing, learn how to introduce someone. And it was just so warm and terrific. And we thank you for all you do, and we thank you for this video. And now let's do a little tour. And Theresa, thank you so much for all you've done for our town.
Thank you. I'm glad to see that building put to good use.
Yep, and thank you for being here with us. And now everyone, enjoy the video.